I want to talk now about the present heaven, where God's people go when they die. Paul says in 1 Thessalonians 4, "Brothers, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope." So as we're talking about this present heaven, where God's people go when they die, we're looking at passages like this that say, hey, when you fall asleep, that's a euphemism. It's not, some people use that as a justification for the doctrine of soul sleep. But what he's describing is, what does it look like when a body dies? Well, it's no longer animated. The spirit has departed from the body, so it looks like someone has fallen asleep. And I've been with several people when they've died, and indeed, that's what it looks like, although there's also that sense of absence. Someone has departed the room, which you don't feel when somebody just goes to sleep. I had that happen with my best friend from childhood, Jerry Harden, who I was with when he died, and my dad with him when he died, and my mom had died shortly before I got there to the home, and I walked in the room, and I'd visited her every day. She was in her home, the home where I grew up, and I was ready to walk in and to see my mom be just like all these other days when I'd come and read scripture to her. She was unconscious. She was not, as far as I know, she couldn't understand what I was saying, but you always assume, and perhaps she did, and sometimes people have been in comas for a long time, say they heard everything, they saw everything. Keep that in mind, by the way. But I had read scripture to her, and I kind of prepared myself as I walked in the room because I knew that she was dead, but I thought she would look like she did when she was in the coma, but she didn't. There was an utter sense of absence. Not just that she wasn't breathing, not just that there was no perceptible movement, but it was as if, it made me think of, in the Old Testament, Ichabod, the glory has departed. The person is gone, but that's not the end of it. One day, my mom, who is conscious in the presence of Christ right now, will be reunited with her body in the resurrection. And the resurrection is one of the key doctrines of our faith. And as we're going to talk about a little bit later, it's a doctrine that many people know out of their belief in orthodoxy is an orthodox doctrine. And they'd go to the wall and be shot before they would deny the doctrine of the resurrection. But in fact, many of the same people who would die for that doctrine do not actually believe it.